Hi, this is Avi Fei, and this is my final project for MGT16. For this project, I choose to interview my mother, Lily, a seasoned high school teacher, about a dilemma that handled her during a critical academic year. Before introducing the actual case, I want to briefly explain what is meant by ethical dilemma. An ethical dilemma occurs when two or more core values come into conflict. For example, when a student decides whether to cheat, he or she is in conflict of maintaining academic integrity and fulfilling ambition. In my mother's situation, which we would learn about soon, conflict was between professional integrity and compassion for a hardworking student. Um, Teachers, on the other hand, had to choose between enforcing parents or protecting a student whose future depended on one high-stakes exam. I'll next walk through the dilemma she encountered and apply the 8-step model to analyze it, as well as the decisions she would make under the 3 simple models. So here is my mother's contact information, her email, and her phone number. The situation is Lily is a senior English teacher at a prestigious key high school in China, and she also serves as the homeroom teacher for a graduating senior class. She is deeply respected and trusted by her students. During the final semester of 12th grade, she discovers a cheating problem involving one of her students, Joe. Joe is an academically above average student, not outstanding, but had been extremely hardworking and resilient. In one of the most important mock examinations of the year, Lily notices that Joe's essay is strikingly similar to an essay assignment he submitted earlier in the semester. At that time, the essay had already raised suspicions that someone else or an AI might have written it for him. She asked Joe about it, and Joe admitted that the essay was created by his elder brother, which is the graduate student. The situation is this mock exam is high stakes. Score has a high percentage in the final score, which will directly influence whether Joe can apply to top-ranked universities. In China, HRs really expect you to graduate from higher-ranked universities. People from those universities typically have better chances at finding jobs and get paid higher. Coming from a modest working-class family, this opportunity is crucial for Joe. Potentially, the only chance for him to enter a stream university, have overall better future development, and diminish his family's economic burdens. So Lee now faces a dilemma. Should she attain to professional integrity and report the cheating, which may destroy Joe's chances completely, or remain silent for compassion to protect a hardworking student whose life could depend on this? This becomes a direct conflict between integrity versus compassion, fairness versus empathy, and professional duty versus personal concern for student safety. What she does at last is she said to Joe, since you honestly acknowledge that you were serious help others, I would give you a chance and not report this to the school. However, you must be aware of the bad nature of the actions and possible serious consequences it might bring to the future, and promise to never act in such a way again in the future. I walked her through the 8-step model to analyze this dilemma. Applying step 1, we first gather the facts about making assumptions. The fact is that the essay and the mock exam closely matched a previous assignment. There had been earlier suspicion that he did not write that song himself. Through investigation and conversation, he also admitted that he did ask his elder brother to write that essay for him. The mock exam is extremely important for university applications, and Joe's family situation means this opportunity matters greatly. These are all facts that we should gather. And next, in the second step, we need to identify the ethical issues. The key conflicts included academic integrity, fairness to all students, my mother's professional obligation to uphold standards, and the potential impact on Joe's future. This wasn't simply about cheating, it was about the long-term consequences of either action. The third step is to identify the stakeholders or everyone affected. The stakeholders included Joe, who might lose a life-changing opportunity, or other students who could feel unfair if the teacher do not investigate and report. School administrators, Joe's parents who might feel disappointed after knowing that their kids are cheating, or who might be afraid that Joe might not get the chance to go to his dream school, and my mother herself as the decision maker, and even the universities that depend on accurate evaluations. And then in step 4, I walked her through the short-term and long-term consequences. If she reported cheating, Joe would get a 0 and on that mock exam, damaging his chances to go to any good universities and causing emotional harm. Also, his parents would be startled and disappointed to hear about that. These are short-term consequences. Um, Long-term consequences could be that their family burden would increase because if Joe got into if Joe got to a good university, he could have better chances to get a higher paid job later. On the other hand, reporting would maintain fairness and protect the school's standards. If she stayed silent, Joe could benefit unfairly compared to his classmates, and it would compromise academic integrity. It might also harm him long term if he becomes dependent on others' work. And step five focuses on obligations. The mother has obligations to the school to enforce rules to her students to create a fair environment and to herself as an educator who values honesty. She also feels an obligation to help Joe grow and succeed not just academically but as a person. These obligations put her in opposite directions. For step six, it reflected on character and integrity as the model guided. I asked her that what a person of strong moral character would do and how her teaching community could judge the decision. Would she be comfortable if her decisions were made public? She said she didn't tell her colleagues about that yet, which implies that she knows her decision does not show professional integrity and would not be really approved by other teachers. The professional community standard is clear. All teachers must report cheat incidents even if it's minor and does not involve AI. In step seven, we explored creative options instead of limiting herself to report or stay silent. She said she has already thought about them while she made decisions. One option was to ask Joe to rewrite the essay under supervised conditions. Another was to have a private conversation with him to help him understand what happened and what his actions would mean. She could also report the incident with contextual information rather than a harsh accusation. These middle ground solutions allowed her to uphold fairness without destroying Joe's opportunity. In fact, as I mentioned before, what she does at last is exactly talk to Joe privately. Step 8 emphasizes checking your gut. My mother felt uneasy simply letting it go, but she also felt uncomfortable with reporting because that would risk the whole life of another, especially with the fact that he had been hardworking all along. What she finally did was that she talked to Joe privately and did not report that to the headmaster. What should she do under the three simple models? Firstly, according to consequence model, costs and benefits of herself is the only thing she should think about. She can ignore the compassion to Joe's actual situation and just think, would it cost her more if she does not report? That's for sure because she might lose her job or get a reduction on wages if Joe really cheated. And it was if his cheating has been later found out by someone else. Meanwhile, refuse to report does not bring herself any benefit. Thus, she should simply report. Secondly, under the duty and obligation model, she should think about what would happen if every other teacher constantly letting suspicious students off. Obviously, that's not something that she wants to see. That would ruin the school reputation. Thus, under that model, she should report. Finally, under the last model, integrity model, she should think about what a good person with virtue would do. And her answer is that a good person with virtue definitely values compassion over everything. Which means that that person as herself would ask Joe privately and know that he has been like known to be cheated, which avoids his future development of bad mentality such as taking chances, but at the same time does not report. She said she came up to the conclusion after we walked through the 8-step model that she should have reported. When we came to step 4, when she really thinks about what unfair consequence it will bring to other students when she let Joe off, she felt guilty. When we reached step 5, that feeling became even stronger. She said she just didn't think about her obligations and consequences that clearly before when she made decisions. Her previous decisions is based off the fact that in that environment in China, it's a society that depends greatly on relationships. People often like solve problems by giving gifts to each other or treat each other to gorgeous meals. Now, with a clearer mind and more structured evidence, what she thinks she should do is instead, um, still talk to Joe privately, to let him know what he should know, and help him understand why those consequences should exist. And finally, she must propose this to protect fairness while still promoting student growth. That's all. Thank you.